Hey, you got Chad Evans back in the Stone State studio with my very good friend, Freddie Fabbri.
What's up, Chad? How's it going, man?
You're back at it again,
Back at it. It's nice to be back.
Hey, listen, we had a really good time. Now, this was months ago. You came in, and a lot of people were like, hey, we haven't seen Freddie in a long time. We haven't heard Freddie in a long time. And we partnering up, and we're basically giving the audience what Freddie's up to these days, how Freddie's feeling, all that stuff. So before we kind of get going in this, just like reintroduce yourself for people that might not know who you are. But I know who you are as a local radio legend.
Thanks,
but that's how I know you.
My name is Freddie. I am the insignificant, significant one, the anti-DJ, if you will. The ODWB, the original dirty white boy. I am the bad influence with the best intentions. There used to be a lot more with that. I did radio, traveled with a lot of bands, mainly Breaking Benjamin, worked with Bernie Williams from the New York Yankees. I had the chance to work with Chevy Chase for a while, Jeff Daniels, the actor, a lot of actors, a lot of cool stuff. In my travels, I got to do gigs at the Grand Ole Opry. I got to be the voice of God one weekend at the legendary Apollo Theater in Harlem, New York, which was wonderful. So I got to do stuff like that, work a lot of big festivals, and I got settled down for a little while. Settled down for a little bit. So it's all cool. Radio in and out of that for a bunch of time for anybody that doesn't know. And just living life now, big time. Dad. Yeah. Dad is my number one thing right now, buddy. And we were talking about that because what I would like to do steer down the road is, like I said, more family-oriented stuff based off my daughter.
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought? And we'll touch on why he is talking with that little sarcastic overtone.
But I want to talk. We'll talk about radio in this program. Yeah, we're also going to talk about how you help musicians. To this day.
Just started trying to do that again a little bit. And
that's really good. And we're going to talk about being a girl dad.
Yeah, we are. We are going to talk about that and what I want to do in the future, and just a lot of cool stuff. That it's funny that you said that, and I'm going to jump to. Do you mind if I hit that right now?
You could do whatever.
Can I hit a little bit of that?
This is your platform.
Because I want to talk about when you bring that up. I traveled with a lot of bands for many years. And I did jazz bands as well as the rock bands, and that was really, really cool. I did 48 out of the 50 states, which was wonderful, and I did that for a bunch of years. Then I had a daughter, and Gretchen Avery is my daughter. That's why I am trying to watch my tongue, of course. Because I like to be vulgar.
You get excited.
We do get excited, and it's funny because recently, I had a conversation with my daughter, and it had to do with me going back out on the road. And what happened is that there was a band. I had an opportunity to jump in with a touring band that's popular
for a tour manager spot,
for a position on the staff. One of my close friends was going to be the tour manager. And I had an opportunity to go meet up with him and chat. And every time you do that, it's like stepping back in the past, you know what I mean? Like revisiting your past life, because here I was, partying crazy, running all over with rock bands. And now I'm settled down. My biggest fear is messing up the scoreboard when I'm operating it for the 9 and 10-year-old basketball team on Saturday morning at St. Nick's Gymnasium in Wilkes-Barre, because that's the big things I aspire to do now. I want to be the guy that works the goddamn the scoreboard every week for my daughter's basketball. But I go back sometimes and I visit, and I see the buses, and I see all the hustle and bustle on the stage, and everybody getting the backdrops ready and all that good stuff.
There's something inside you that kind of triggers excitement, and you enjoy that? But does it bring like PTSD in a sense?
Yes, it does, because there was some hard times that came along with that lifestyle, from rocking on the road and running around and doing all kinds of crazy
it's a lifestyle.
Stuff. It is one hell of a... The stories are real. Very real. But I had an opportunity to meet up with this camp and chat. And,
recently?
This was in the past year. Yeah,
Okay.
in the past year. I didn't bring it up last time because it wasn't relevant.
Right.
And then, we had the ideas of where I want to go as far as a daddy-daughter focused podcast, which I can't believe I'm saying, dude. I can't. I know you're laughing, but I can't believe I'm saying
You're like
it.
the modern day Miss Rachel now. You're
Just
Miss Rachel
nuts,
on
dude.
Netflix.
But I picked up Gretchen from school, and she got in, and my wife said, talk to her. She said, talk to her, because my wife sometimes has, maybe it would be nice if you got away for a little while, but, she was at a point where she was like, talk to her. Mm-hmm. And she jumped in the car, and I said, hey, Gretchen, Daddy got an opportunity to maybe go work some of these big shows again, because we were listening to different music. And I said, I worked that concert, and we did this and we did that. And she was like, oh, really? Cool. And I said, yeah. And I said, we could talk every day on the phone. And I said, we could FaceTime, and Daddy will be out doing these big shows, and you could tell everybody that Daddy does it. And she's like, wait, aren't you going to come home at night?
Oh.
And I said, well, no, baby, I'll be gone for a couple weeks at a time, but we can FaceTime every day, and I can help you with your homework, and we can talk, and you can send me pictures of you playing basketball. And she's like, no, not if you're not going to come home. Can I come with you? And I said, well, no, baby, you're not going to be able to come with me either, but, Daddy will be gone for a couple of weeks, and then he'll come home. And then, and she's like, no, you can't go if I can't go with you. Not if you're not going to come home. So the cool factor was gone. She didn't care about that. And she automatically said no. But I did have the conversation with her. Now, I also want to point out, Chad, I never was like, Breaking Benjamin, Evanescence, Breaking Benjamin, I was never like pushing that I did Breaking Ben. I did Breaking Ben in the office that used to be my office, which is now my wife's office in the house. There's my platinum records and my gold records, and I'm very proud of them because I earned them with Breaking Benjamin. And she never picked up on them, never really noticed them, never thought anything of them. She found out that I worked with Breaking Ben, not from me or my wife, but from the kids in her school. Their parents would say, you know who her dad is? Yeah. Her daddy used to do this on the radio and worked with that band that we liked. So they would come up, and my daughter came up to me. This is years before. This is like in first grade because she's in fifth grade now. She's like, Daddy, were you in a band called Breaking Benjamin? And I'm like, no, honey, no. I just gave them everything they have today.
Yes.
Almost slipped there. I said, I'm only responsible for them existing. And I had to explain that whole process to her. But she had no clue because we never said anything.
Well, where's it at now then? So did you...
Yeah, there's no way in hell I'm going to leave my daughter's side. I'm not going out on tour with anybody. The band was Five Finger Death Punch, by the way. So I had a friend that was working for them. I didn't have an official offer, but I was, every time I come up around certain people, hey, man, wouldn't you be interested in doing this? Hey, man, when are you going to do your comeback? Hey, man, would you like to do that? And I had a really good friend that worked on the staff who was the actual tour manager, and we worked together wonderfully when we were doing Breaking Ben, and he was doing 3 Days Grace.
These kids aren't young forever.
No.
And you know, it's really important to be present, and I struggle with it too because I bebop around quite a bit. But I think, you know, as a child in their adolescence, it's really important to be around as much as possible because you're not going to have that forever. And it goes by in a blink of an eye, Freddie.
And I don't want to, and I know this is going to be a rock in some people's shoe when I say this in particular, but I watch the effects of people being away from their children when I didn't have children, and it pretty much destroyed them. And in some cases, these people gave up these golden years. The toddler through elementary school gave it all up for absolutely nothing. Yeah, they toured, they played some gigs, but they wound up getting kicked to the side.
Yeah.
And their kids seem okay with it, but they gave up 4th grade, 5th grade, 3rd grade, 2nd grade. They gave up T-ball. They gave up dance recitals. They gave up cheerleading. You know, all that stuff that people that we really love as parents partaking with our children, they gave it up. And in my opinion, for absolute nothing. So I'm glad that I witnessed that, that sacrifice that they made. It's unfortunate how it unfolded for them.
But you learned
But I learned from it. And then I'm happy that, wow, I guess I did learn from other people's stuff. And because usually I could see something plain right in my face, Chad, and I'll be like, nah, it's going to be different for me. It's not me.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, you grew up.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And
crazy.
Now let me ask you this.
Yeah,
though.
please.
You know, down the line,
Yeah.
Gretchen will get older.
Yeah.
You go to college.
Yeah.
Do you see another opportunity
It depends.
down the road,
It
Freddie,
depends.
for you to go back out there?
It depends.
To get back on that boat?
It depends, because when I went out with Breaking Benjamin, I went out because I loved the band and it was my band,
Yeah.
and I had the investment in them.
Yeah.
And like I said, and
It was your baby.
Stated again, yeah, pretty much. I didn't want to just be anybody's tour manager. I did go out with other artists then, and it was cool. But like, I don't know, things keep changing. You know what I mean? There's a continual growth, and I don't know where I'll be mentally or whatever. I don't know if I wanted. I don't know if I could physically and mentally handle it 5 or 6 years from now, but I'd never say never. But I asked Gretchen, I said, would you be cool if I was gone for a month and a half, 2 months at a time? And she was like, absolutely not.
But at least you had that conversation with
I
Gretchen.
did have an adult conversation at the time. She was like, was she 9? She was 9.
Yeah.
I had that adult conversation with her. It was great.
Yeah.
It was an unbelievable, but that was my answer. And you know what? After that, it was just like a done deal.
Yeah.
It was.
You know, it's funny because I have twin girls. They're 10.
Yeah.
And I have a son who's 6. And, you know, a lot of people ask me, you know, like, why do I do all this stuff here in Northumberland County?
Right.
Why do you have
Right.
the podcast? Why do you have the studio, the productions and the TV commercials and all this stuff? And I said, well, I can't go anywhere else.
Right.
This is about as far as I can go.
Right.
You know, you should do this in New York or LA or Atlanta. I said, why?
Easy to say. Why? And why? You know what? Like, that's the whole
can't be
thing.
away.
It used to be the point where people would say, you have to go to LA or New York City if you want to make it in music. We made it right out of here.
Now you could do it in Northumberland County.
Yes, you can.
Absolutely,
And you
you
can do
can.
it wonderfully. And sometimes these are the locations and areas like this are the best way to really cultivate your sound, your image. And then you bust out into the main world, because everybody's got the one same thing going on out there. You have to really cultivate yourself in the perfect area. There's something about the environment that you go into when you want to become creative. And, you know, it's not always a major market. It really isn't, especially nowadays. To Hollywood, you want to go be carefree out in Hollywood? Go ahead.
Have
a shot
right
at
now.
that.
It's crazy. Let's talk about that with music and entertainment and stuff, and people come to you for advice.
Yeah, they do, man.
So as a musician right now,
Yeah.
that's in a band,
Yeah.
it's really hard.
Yes, it is.
It is a grind.
It is a definite grind. And, you know, people have come to me, and there's a couple bands and artists that I was hooked up with that I kind of left hanging, that I have to go back out and I have to contact them and see where I stand with them.
What advice do you give a band? A startup band that wants to make it, and I don't even know what making it is anymore. But
Yeah, me either. But I'm relearning it again myself.
Yeah.
Number one thing is make great relationships. You got to make great relationships. Treat everybody the same, like you want to be treated, and no gig is too big or too small is number one thing right now.
it's so funny you brought those 3 things up, because you didn't say one thing about their songs. Or one thing about the music, or the way they play a guitar, or how to slap it.
Absolutely not.
How to slap a snare.
It could be it could be 3 chords.
Yeah.
Compared to somebody that's been studying and went to all these schools to study.
It's
sometimes
relationships.
It's relationships. You got to remember. You know what? People try to insult me now. People that want to insult me now, it's so funny. They'll be like, "Breaking Benjamin sucks," and I'll be like, "Okay."
Interesting.
I effing hate them. And I'm like, all right.
All right.
And okay. And they think that because I worked with them and everybody knows my significant role in everything that he has today, that's like an insult to me. I'm like, well, if everybody loved them, they'd have 300 million records sold, not the couple of million that they do, whatever it's pushing, probably around 10 or something like that now. But yeah, not everybody's going to love everybody.
And that's fine.
Yeah, and that's true.
People
and
can express
always
opinions.
Let people know that.
Yeah.
And I also say this about bands and artists. I don't like to say anybody sucks, Chad. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
Like I'm not a Blink 182 guy. I don't think they suck.
Yeah.
They're horrible. And then they're going to play sold-out Hershey Stadium. But Freddie Fabbri thinks they suck. Why? Well, each song's only like 5 chords, man. Yeah. And they sold about 6 million copies of those 5-chord songs. It's about appeal. It's about charisma. It's about the chemistry you have with each other in your band.
I know people that don't like the Beatles.
Yeah, and they don't. And they don't, and it doesn't apply. They suck.
Yeah,
if you really listen to it, Ringo Starr can't play the drums for shit.
Yeah, if you really listen to
it. Paul McCartney is just the same thing. It's just a 5-note pentatonic scale thing.
And I
could do that.
And I don't think Paul McCartney's losing sleep off of that kid's opinion.
Look how hard Highway to Hell. English Young, I could play this when I was 11. Round, 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 round. Yeah, but you didn't write it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You didn't write it. It's very easy to play. You know why bands make easy songs to play? Because your band will cover them, you idiot, because they're easy to play and they'll get out there more. So now you're doing the work of the band. Not everybody wants to go to a concert and do math because I'm going to play in this time signature and then I'm going to change it and drop the key and this, that, and the other. And that's why some people don't get into Dream Theater because it's like all these different time signatures and all these key changes and all this fast playing. And some people just want to rock out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How about Satisfaction from the Rolling Stones? Think that's, and it's 3 notes.
They're not that good.
What he could do with 3 notes, what they did with 3 notes and a couple easy lines, people would die for that success. I wouldn't mind having the residuals on that. Or the royalties, would you, on that simple 3-chord song? Sometimes less is more. Remember that. Don't try to play over your abilities, too. That's a very important thing because you want to be able to flow when you're on stage and when you're jamming. You know what I mean? If you have to sit there and I just started learning how to play in this style and I'm going to stare there and G, D, D, C. You don't want to do that. You want to have a flow. You want to have some kind of vibe.
And I also think too, like if you're in a band, and especially a new band, you gotta be humble. You don't know everything.
No, you don't.
You don't know everything. I mean, and if you want to be a band, and if you want to be successful, again, whatever that is, you have to put in the work.
Yeah,
you have to put in the time.
There's a lot of work, and a lot of times, like I said, some of the greatest artists have been passed up 5, 6, 7, 8 times.
Absolutely.
And it's really hard for me now too because I'm looking at all these different new ways of revenue by streaming and all this stuff. And there's a part of the excitement for that. When I would get a report on what a record was doing as far as sales, that was the greatest thing because people had it in their hand. They invested their time. It's an investment when you bought an album. When I listen to a vinyl album at my house, it's an investment. You know why? Because I have to get off my ass to change the record or turn it around. And then I sit down and I don't want to just, I'm done with this song, go. I'm done with this song, go. You're invested in that time. I am going to play Fleetwood Mac's Tusk. It's a 2 album. It sold 4.5, 5 double album. It sold 4 or 5 million copies the first year. It came out after Rumors, and they considered it a failure because it only sold almost 5 million compared to the, and it was a double album, and it's compared to like 25 million that Fleetwood Mac's Rumors sold a year or two before that. But when I listen to it, I know I'm invested for the next hour and 15 minutes, an hour and a half, because I got to get up and down to change the sides of the record. Doesn't happen automatically. You can't just bump the needle past the songs that you may not care for, you know. It's an investment of time, and I love that, and I cherish that, and I forgot about that.
Sure.
I forgot about that.
You know, it's and we're two radio nerds.
Yeah.
Love radio. I still do. I'm still on the air.
I love it too. I love that you still are.
And I really enjoy it. It's changed.
Drastically.
The radio industry has drastically changed.
Yes, it has.
And, you know, back in the day, to get your song played on the radio was revolutionary for a band.
Sure.
Not anymore.
No.
So, you know, in your opinion, let's kind of switch gears and talk radio.
All right.
About,
because I'm going to hurt some
I don't want to call
feelings.
it a demise.
Yeah, I'm going to hurt some feelings
And
here.
that's okay.
Okay.
But, you know, this is what I'm saying. Your thoughts on this is that the podcast platform, what we're doing right now, audio has never been bigger.
No.
Storytelling has never been bigger.
People love it.
But people are turning off their radios to listen to podcasts.
Well, here's the deal, too. I mean, I was just listening to something, too. They say that 34% of the audience is still getting they say, new music and stuff. They're still listening to the radio.
I believe it.
And I do believe that, too. 80-some% of that is in the car, which is definitely makes sense. I have not at my home compared to when I was a child. When I was a kid, it was Rock 107.
Sure.
It was the radio station. I woke up to it every day, and I went home and I listened to that when I wasn't listening to an 8-track cassette or an album, okay? When you're in the car, just so happens they still have terrestrial radio, and you jump in and you're local, and people want to hear local. People still do appreciate live and local.
Yes, they do.
Really do. And that's never going to go away. But then you got the people that are just like the younger people are too sophisticated for that now, and they know what they want to hear. And before they even get in the goddamn car, their phone is syncing up. It's syncing up with I jumped into my car, and what I was listening to in the house on my phone was already syncing up, came right up to what I was listening to. And then you have the option of your satellite radio that pops up there. And then you have all these choices. So my wife is one that still chooses live and local. She'll go to the local.
Absolutely.
I do not go. That's not my first choice. When people ask me, have I been listening to stations that I used to work at, they think that I am just trying to be a prick by saying, no, I haven't heard the new guy that took this guy's spot or anything. And I haven't, because, I'm working a night gig and I get home. And then, on the way out, man, I know what I want to listen to. I could listen to a playlist mixing up all the great songs from all the great bands and new artists that I want to listen to, coming from my phone, already plugged in through a USB if I want to in my vehicle. And our vehicles are also now even... we have our own internet in our vehicles. Sure. That's all over. So, I mean, it's so easy to listen apart from, like terrestrial radio. So is it less popular? Yes, it is. It used to be the only mainstay. I'm going to tell a quick story here. I know, limited on time. When I was the other day, not too long ago, a couple weeks ago, first, I want to get to this. A girl came up to me, and Motionless in White is a big band out of the area. It's playing another arena show. Okay. And girl told me, yeah, she's younger. She's into Motionless in White, and they're great. And they're playing the arena for their Halloween. They do an annual Halloween thing now at the Mohegan Sun Arena. And she said, oh, yeah, they're coming. I'm going to be getting my tickets. And after that, she said to me, 97.9X is going to announce it tomorrow. And I said, so they're making the announcement tomorrow, but you already know. And she said, yeah, it was on this website or whatever. Now, I'm not saying it was on the band's website because maybe they made a deal. I don't want to make them look, whatever. But she said, yeah, I saw it on a website or whatever. So the tour was already announced. Yeah. They're a fan. They looked. But yet the radio was still acting like, we got big news for you tomorrow. They already know. They already know. So when you say listen tomorrow morning at 9:40 or something like that, I'm not going to drop everything to listen anymore. I'm not, because I already know what you're talking about. So you're acting like you got something that we don't know. We already know.
Yeah.
When I was 14 years old, I had a paper out in West Scranton, Pennsylvania. My life was pretty much dominant. I loved Aerosmith.
Yeah, sure.
I loved Aerosmith at this time. They got back together. They had a period where Joe Perry and Brad Whitford left the band. Steven Tyler and Joey Kramer and them, they made another album. It was Rockin' a Hard Place. It didn't do as well as people expected. Joe Perry did the Joe Perry Project. It bombed, okay, in that period.
They needed each other.
So they got back. They were thankfully still on drugs.
Yeah.
So the songwriting we were expecting it were going to be great. The album was Done with Mirrors. It was the reunion album. They were coming back, and it was like, oh my God. And I was an Aerosmith freak at the time. I actually even liked Rockin' a Hard Place without Joe Perry and Brad Whitford. Lightning Strikes, it was supposedly the first 3D rock music video. You should check it out. Lightning Strikes, Aerosmith. But I had a paper out, and the big news was at 5:40 on Thursday, we're going to play the new track from Aerosmith's Done with Mirrors. So all that week I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to get this. Now there was no leaking on a YouTube. There was no other way that you were going to hear this unless somebody had the promo from the radio station and they went and played it for you, which was very big taboo, which would have got your arms broken, never mind fired at the time. You know what I mean? It was a big deal.
Yeah, it was must hear radio. You had to listen to it.
And if you leaked it in any way, shape, or form, it would leak at the speed of a snail crawling uphill in molasses, because where was it going? There was no one button that you push and 8 million people have access to this file. There was no file to have access to. It was on a cart. And I forgot that they were playing the song. Now, hear me out here. Listen, I forgot that Rock 107 was going to play the Aerosmith new song
at that time
at 5:40, and I was doing my paper out, and I was like 3 blocks away from my house, and at this time, well, I'm still flat-footed, but I was kind of fat, okay? So this was going on, and I was like, what time is it? It's like 5:35, and I was done with my paper out, and I'll never forget this. I had, at the time, what did I have? A Helix T-shirt. Give me an R, R-O-O-C-C. Helix was a band that opened for Rat at Rocky Glen that summer. I believe it was that summer. And I had that shirt on and jeans, and I'll never forget this. And I had my newspaper bag. And somebody said it was like 5:34, 5:35, 5:40 on a Thursday. They were going to play the new Aerosmith song. I was 3 blocks away from my home, and I started sprinting.
Hoofing it.
Sprinting like somebody was raping my mother. Someone was they were gang raping my mother, and I just heard this, and I started sprinting, and I was fat, and I was flat-footed, and I'm running home, and I'm running, and I jumped into my room, and as soon as I turned on that damn radio, I didn't even hear the announcement. All I heard was boom, boom, banner, boom, boom, banner, boom, boom, banner, boom, boom, banner, and it was Let the Music Do the Talking from Aerosmith. And I felt a little burned at the time, because Let the Music Do the Talking was a track that Joe Perry did on his solo album, which was a lot lighter. But I recognized it, and I thought, what the F is this? Because it was Let the Music Do the Talking, but it had a different kind of punch to it, and I didn't care, because anything they were going to play, I assumed.
You were there for.
And then I just started, and I waited until I heard that bum ba banner, bum ba banner, bum ba banner, bum ba banner. And then when I heard Steven Tyler start singing, I knew it was the new Aerosmith, and I just started freaking out, and it was so great. It was so great. It was just unbelievable. And people, I'm sorry for the people that can't have that
didn't experience
today.
that.
Yeah, because I'm telling you this 40 years later.
Yeah.
Like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
My feet are starting to hurt because I'm telling you the story.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's it. You know, and it was crazy.
Yeah.
But you missed that out. So what we were getting to was that you missed that anticipation and that dependence. Like I was so proud of the radio station for actually, it's so happy you did this for me.
Yeah, that's my station.
That's my station. You came through for me and I made it. And that's how much I love that. What a great thing for an advert. Can you imagine if you were the program director of that radio station at that time and you knew this fat, flat-footed kid sprinted
at 14.
At 14, sprinted home 3 blocks to listen to your station. Man, to be able to bring that to a sales meeting or to a client that I wanted to sell space to, wow, would that have been something I would have signed? Yeah, I'll buy for a month.
And that's the problem. It'll never happen again. It's never going to come back.
Never have that rush again.
No.
And, you know, people are so cynical. And that's why I try to never say it's so much harder now to get broken. You know what I mean? And now, like I said, I told you earlier, I didn't want to I want to bum anybody out, but I don't give a damn. Because if we're going to do this, we're going to do it right. You have a lot of radio stations that try to fool the listener, try to fool the artist. They say, well, why would you say they're trying to fool the artist, Freddie? Because I have this original music show, and we only play local artists, and it's on a time slot that no one's really listening to or whatever like that. Not bad deal. You're playing a song from a band. Now, one of the things that you need to know if you want to get noticed, because there's such a thick field out there, a lot of people out there, recurrence. Boom, boom, boom. If you're going to do a commercial, if you're going to sell a commercial on TV or something, you can't say, well, you only got $300. Run it once a month and let's see what kind of people come to your car lot.
Yeah.
What kind of frequency. Recurrence, I'm calling it frequency. Right. But that's the deal. So if you're going to play the new song from the artist, right, I'm going to play this band's record, local band's record, and it's going to be on this time at night, this, that, and the other. And then your show's once a week. That's great. But is there an opportunity for that song to make it into the rotation? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And are you going to play it every week? Okay, so who's going to listen to it? Well, I'm going to call my mom and my dad and my sister at college, and her 2 fat roommates are going to get together and get some popcorn. They're going to listen to my band. And then when I come visit my sister, my bass player's going to mess around with her roommate because we're in a band.
Yeah.
And they heard our song on the radio. But that's nice. But you're also telling me that I could come hear it now on your Facebook page.
Yeah.
So why the hell am I going to drop everything I'm doing to get there on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday night?
When I get to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so your mom and dad want to listen because they remember when they used to sock hop around the radio in the living room when their parents went to bed, and your dad was going to get to second base with mom.
So
you're all laughing at me.
Listen, so we have found ourselves again what seems to be in cancel culture.
Yeah.
We won't dive into that, but what I do want to dive into is the story that happened to you.
All right. Okay.
Okay.
Well,
can we talk about this?
I know
because we're running over time.
I know we're
and
running.
I want to get to the stuff.
Okay. Real quick, I'm going to go through this. First off, I don't even want to address. I'm sorry, I had to witness Charlie Kirk getting shot.
Yeah, terrible.
Okay, China was horrible. But I'm going to say this: he knew what he was getting into. Okay, that's why he was wearing a bulletproof vest. I'm not saying he deserved it, earned it. That man went into it. Here's another thing. He wouldn't change his mind after even being assassinated. He wouldn't go back and say, I was wrong about guns. I wasn't do that. So that's my feeling. My heart goes out to his family. I don't want anybody to ever have to be shot for speaking their words. So when we get to the point of crying for somebody, now we're upset because like Jimmy Kimmel's show was pulled. Stephen Colbert just sucks. I don't care anything about him. This was all before that anyways. The deal with Jimmy Kimmel is his First Right Amendment freedom of speech was not taken away from him. Okay, you work for a big network. They're sick and tired of the whole Donald Trump is mean thing. And regardless of how you look at politics, that's fine. But for 12 years now, remember when Johnny Carson used to come out and be funny and he had a funny monologue and he made you jab someone? It's all too serious. So if I was an executive, regardless of what side you were on, I'd be like, can we lighten this up a little bit? Can we have a different theme? It's like you have all these different late night artists, right? They're a different band. Let's look at them as music and bands, okay, and songs. Each artist is doing the same song at every concert in every show you go to. And that's the same theme, politics. Or I don't like this side and you don't like that side. But when somebody comes up and they represent the company that's hiring you and you're pointing out to a bunch of people and saying, we don't like you because you're not like us, after a while, that's probably got to get stale and they're going to want to remove you, okay? Sorry you lost your gig temporarily at least. He could get a podcast like this and he could go to another station because if you're as great as everybody's saying, somebody's going to eat you right up and make you a big fat offer. You're not getting killed and you're not going to jail for what you're saying. So Jimmy Kimmel's First Right Amendment, whatever, was not taken away. It wasn't violated. The company he worked for was sick of the same shtick. That's what it was, my opinion. Getting to it, okay, way back in the day, if people remember when I was on the air and I was doing the 97.9X thing, we did a thing called the dildogram. Okay, so for 1 year,
we did a thing.
Okay, for 1 year, and I'm not going to say any sponsors' names or anything like that. Okay, so I did 53 of them. Okay.
53 of them.
53 of them every Wednesday. It was Adult World Wicked Wednesday. It was sponsored by Adult World. And I had a guy, and I called him Vito Della Lab Rat because he was my lab rat, and I just experimented things with him. And we dressed him up as a dick. And he would go out on a big bag cell phone because at the time we didn't have smartphones or anything like that, turn of the century. And he would go out and deliver. You could email me and say you wanted to give one to your fiance, or you wanted to send one to your boss, or you wanted to send a dildo, a high quality dildo too, by the way. It wasn't some cheap thing.
This is no Temu.
Yeah, no Temu dildo. Can you imagine a Temu dildo? Wow. I might want to just find one for the sake of seeing what a
Krebsy,
Temu dildo
can we pull one up on the
be.
TV quick?
A Temu dildo. Yeah.
That would be this is something. High quality.
Yeah. So,
this
but
is
the
Adult
thing
World
is,
stuff, man.
That's
right?
Damn straight.
Yeah, it's the real deal.
Yeah, top notch. So what we would do is we would send it out, and he, on the phone, we would play the response, and he would sing a song, I got a dildogram for you. It's pink or red or blue, something like that. And I really don't remember the song, but we did 53 of them, and it was that 53rd that pissed some girl off. You know what I mean? She was offended and upset. Now, here's the thing. We never said names, never said last names or anything like that. So she got upset.
Was she the recipient of one?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And it was high quality, too.
So walk us through it. So, the 53rd,
yeah.
She won one?
Well,
or do you just show up?
Well, no, somebody requested to send one to her. We didn't know it was somebody that hated her. Okay, so that's what the thing was. It was a big sign. She was slightly uptight, we'll say the least. And I guess she worked at a school or something like that. So, yeah. And it wasn't like a children's school. It was like a business school she worked at or something like that. And I guess she had a problem with somebody there, and they wanted her to receive a dildogram. Yeah, and we sent her a dildogram, and we played it over the air. Never said the name, never said her last name at least, never said the location.
Right.
Okay. Was real upset about it. And
was she upset on the air?
No, on the air, she just went with it.
Okay.
Afterwards.
When everybody heard it.
Well, yeah. Well, it was live, man. It was live at the time. See, I'm getting a little fidgety here because this brings up some memories here, some feelings, I should say. We did the dildogram. It was live on the air, and she was cool during it, but afterwards, I guess she was somewhat upset or embarrassed. And I'm like, well, No one knew it was you because we never said your last name. You really didn't talk that much. So thanks for that. Kind of screwed up the dildogram. You know what I mean? By not really reacting. You kept the dildo. You didn't give it back. So how upset could you be? You know what I mean? Because they're high quality. Granted, we got them, you know, fronted to us.
So the higher ups then talked to you.
Well, here's what happened. Her boyfriend called me. And I was like, okay, man. She goes, well, she was upset and embarrassed. And I reassured him, you know, that, you know, her last thing, he goes, yeah, I understand. He goes, I heard it before and I get it and it's cool. But this was the situation. So the boyfriend was really cool. Couple days, week or two later, sees, I guess she had a cousin that was number 542 in a class of 542 at law school, decided that, hey, you could get some money from this if you try to sue, you know? So he stirred it up, and now all of a sudden they weren't cool about it. They came back to us a week or two later and had an intent to sue. I guess that's what it'd be, an intent to file or something like that, that they...
For what, like defamation? I don't know.
Embarrassment, something like that. But her name was never disclosed on the air. We never said it's so-and-so who lives at so-and-so and works at so-and-so.
And again, you had approval.
Yeah. Oh, my uppers knew all about this. But when that happened, I wasn't having the best relationship with the new brass that was in there. So the long story short, because we're going over, they kind of made that as an excuse to want to start the process of getting rid of me. And I was put on paid leave for like 4 months. It was actually awesome. I was on paid leave for like 3.5, 4 months. And, they stated at the time when we were going to part ways, I had a year left on my contract. At the time, we had contracts, and they would have owed me if they couldn't find cause. But being that they were all about it, and it wasn't the first time that I did a dildogram, I did 52 beautiful ones before that, they had a hard time proving cause. So that's another thing. When you get into this business, read the fine print. Because I could have choked out and I could have tapped out easy and quick and said, I'll take anything and leave. You know, because at one point they wanted me to believe that it could have possibly been a criminal offense. And I'm like, you're not supposed to be on my side. My lawyer, because I had my own lawyer, he said, it's not a criminal offense. It's not any sexual assault or anything like that. But the point is, like I said, coming down to it, and I'll elaborate on more on the future because there's a lot that came from it. One of the best things that ever happened to me, first off, it is, people that thought they got me fired celebrated. And I was like, kind of like, thank you. But I was offered a choice. Chad, here's what I want to get to with this whole First Amendment thing. Okay, Freddie, if moving forward into the future, if you clean up, you can't talk about this anymore, can't have any more porn stars on the air, can't do any of this, you could still keep your job and do this. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to water it down. So make your decision on what we're going to do. And their decision was that they wanted to part ways. You
stayed true to yourself.
I stayed true to myself. Thank God. What this woman did, and she didn't even realize, gave me a hard decision to make, an opportunity. They made me infamous. I went from being familiar, because you're familiar, you're not famous, because I'm still standing in a parking lot at a Jiffy Lube with a handful of bumper stickers. Not everybody, if you said Taylor Swift was doing that, people would close their businesses, pull their kids out of school, there'd be pandemonium. When you're a local radio guy, and I'm not taking anything away from being the local radio guy, because it's a really cool gig, you're familiar. You're not famous. You're not famous. You're familiar. Sorry, you're not. I wasn't either. So there's that. Okay. So I was familiar, but they made me infamous because it got written up in the newspaper and all this great stuff. And I went straight out on tour with Breaking Benjamin then. So I had a backup gig, and I was fired on December 21st of whatever year it was. I don't even remember. And I felt worse for my sponsors because they Adult World, Mark's Tattooing, Horsepower Harley Davidson, all those North American Warhorse motorcycles, all of them, their bags got dropped. and I had all these endorsements and all that great stuff, and it was tough for the change, but I had other opportunities. I had an opportunity. I had a chance to make a decision. It was their company. I wasn't going to say, you're stifling what I think and what I should be able to do.
You weren't bitter about it.
No, I was a little mad on the way that it went down and with some of the people and because my wife worked there. But I was really, at that time, my ego was really soaring, man, too. I got to be honest with you.
You're flying high.
I was flying super high.
Yeah. So then they got rid of you. Yeah. And then they bring somebody else in?
Yeah, they brought a couple people. The people that came in after me did a really great job. Yeah. They really did.
Yeah, I wasn't familiar with that.
Yeah, they really did a great job.
I just know I was a big Freddie fan.
Jim Bone was one of the cats. I believe Jim Bone. They did a brief period with my buddy Keith, who was actually mad at me when they got rid of him to bring in another guy. But the guy was from Kansas City. His name was Jim Bone. He did the Jim Bone Morning Show. He did a great job. And that staff was really cool. They were really good. But I was gone at that time. Like I said, I was on tour. But, it was just... We have so much more in the future that we're going to be sharing on this doing the Freddie Factor. And I mean, there's just so much more that we can. But the dildogram was there. A lot of people will be shaking their heads and they'll remember that. But yeah, I got fired for that. And I was told that I have to change what I'm saying, change the direction that I was going in. And I wasn't bought out for millions of dollars. All right. And that's the thing. Like if you're so valuable and it's such an injustice, somebody is sitting in the wings ready to scoop you up. So if you're feeling bad for Jimmy Kimmel today, you really, really need to take a grasp on what's going on around you and start being grateful for the life that you have. Because if you're really feeling bad for these cats in Hollywood and stuff like that, you're missing something. You're missing something, or something's missing.
And just really understand what's going on.
Yeah.
Try to.
I mean, like, I don't want anybody to lose their job, but he's not hurting. Okay. He's definitely not hurting. He's definitely not in a bad spot. He was definitely not a martyr, and he's definitely not a victim. Yeah. Not a victim at all.
Well, more with the Freddie Factor once we get this thing off the ground. Yep. But before we go, I just want to say, how's the health? Freddie, you had a
good, man. Good. Yeah, I did. I was a little under the weather. We'll talk more about that in the future as well. I had some breathing problems, and I actually had pneumonia that I overlooked, they said. And I had to have my lungs drained for a week. And the wonderful guy singer that's not too far away from us, I got pretty close with some of the staff up there. It was fun.
Good.
Love to stop by. I wonder if they would remember me. But no, I was in the hospital for a little while. We'll share more about that in the future, but I'm feeling good now. I don't smoke cigarettes anymore. What it takes to really stop you, man. Look at me go is right.
Look at you go. It's all with the Freddie Factor that we're going to debut at a later date.
At a later date.
And you're going to have your own podcast. Man, I'm just a facilitator. I'm just trying to help you.
Yeah, well, I really appreciate that. And I hope you keep facilitating once it is my damn thing.
I will.
Because it's a lot easier to play ping pong with two people.
Yeah, I
tried playing by myself before.
I understand. We're going to have a lot of fun in the future.
I can't even win when I play by myself, so there's that.
Well, that's another podcast altogether.
Yeah, you're always going to be part of this, regardless of what the damn name is on the screen in the back.
All right, deal. Freddie Fabbri in the studio today with Stone State. I'm Chad Evans. Freddie, thanks for being here, pal.
Anytime. Glad to be back. We'll see you again in the near future.